Latin, Greek, Norman French, Old Norse, just a few. And during the war, Winston Churchill made a speech in which every single word except one was Anglo-Saxon. One word was, the one word that wasn't, was liberty. And I wondered if perhaps that was a really good example of what Orwell is speaking about when he says that language is used for a purpose because it was rousing, it was patriotic, and it was Anglo-Saxon. What do you think? Who's going to call that?
The reason why we Latinate language with obfuscation probably goes right back to the Norman conquest, when our rulers spoke the Latinate and we spoke the Anglo-Saxon, and so that too is a clash of economic interests underneath the surface.
I suppose we would look at Churchill's speech as an example of how great the English language was, and we would compare that to what happens now and wonder how we've gone so wrong. Well, the opening line of Orwell's essay is, most people who bother with the matter at all would admit that the English language is in a bad way. I think that sentence could have been written probably at any time in the last 100 years. That we are, every generation thinks that the language is deteriorating. But in fact, the language is being enriched every year, and every generation.
Somebody's got the microphone in the back.
Someone
yes.
Back there, yes.
Could I ask the panel to say what they think are the hopes for any form of regulation? At the moment, it seems to me that the police, Metropolitan Police, have been sitting on evidence and have not been able to read it and then say there's no grounds for making any form of inquiry or arrest. We've got the Press Complaints Committee that seems to have fallen off the perch altogether. We've got people like Hugh Grant queuing up to go to the High Court and thinking they'll get some sort of compensation there. But it seems to me that even in the days of the Roman Empire, it is either Juvenal or Ovid who said, quis custodiet ipsos custodes, who will guard the guarders themselves, and we seem to be going round and round in a circle. What hopes have the panel got for any form of regulation in the future? The technology is now so sophisticated that, quite frankly, they've lost the plot.
Well, there is a cleansing purge going on at the moment, and I would caution against regulation that makes the press less free. I think it's incredibly important for the political class as well as every voter, for the reasons that have been discussed this morning, that the press keeps its freedoms. Obviously, you have to be responsible in the way that you use those freedoms. And maybe there needs to be more power, or rather the Press Complaints Commission needs to be more active. Maybe it needs to have an investigatory role. Maybe it should be able to wade into newspapers if it hears about wrongdoing, something of that nature. But I would be very concerned about the political class seizing their opportunity to regain influence from the media by legislating against the media.
I would just interject on that. Mark and I were on a walking holiday in Italy, and we went to a tiny little village on the top of a hill that is usually cut off by snow all winter and certainly has no media. And painted in big graffiti-like letters on the outside of the houses were the equivalent of Maggie Smith ran off with the milkman. And that is what they do with their gossip. They paint it on the walls of the houses, because there's something in us that thrives on that. We must need, and maybe when we lived back in the trees, it was necessary for our survival or something, but we relish that sort of information. And we no longer live in villages, or many of us don't, and we no longer have that community. I particularly thought this about Princess Diana. The population felt as if they owned her, and they wanted to know about her. When newspapers put her on the front page, their sales rocketed. So she was never off the front page for back to economic reasons. And I think I understand about Hugh Grant, who'd want to have someone hiding behind your bush every morning taking photographs. We have to work out something human about the right to privacy. But gossip sells newspapers is one thing, and the other thing is, if you take away the freedom of the press, you do so at your peril, because whatever is going wrong at the moment, you know about it. But without that, you just won't know, it'll still happen.
The gentleman who asked falls into the Orwellian trap himself by coupling the word hope with the word regulation. Why use the word hope of regulation? It was Senator McAdoo, an American senator, I think, who once said that when Dr. Johnson said that patriotism is the last refuge of the scoundrel, he overlooked the immense possibilities of the word reform. And that's another one. Once you use the word reform, you're on its side. Once you use the word hope, you're on its side. I think regulation has to come. I think more regulation than we have at the moment has to come. But I think we really have to beware of its going too far and playing into the hands of those many in the political world and in the British establishment who'd rather the press were not so impertinent. So instead of debating in your mind, should we or shouldn't we have regulation, do or I or don't I hate News International or Rebecca Wade or whatever else, move on in your mind to trying to draft the regulation. What should be permitted? What shouldn't? Who should do the interpreting? Bear in mind that much of what has happened or been revealed over the last few weeks was already a criminal offence, and in a sense it would be that they're a matter of applying the law rather than making the law. But when it comes to press investigation, press intrusiveness, sit down with a pen and paper and ask yourself what the rules should be. You'll see how difficult it is, but I think it's important.
Question here. I think that you're missing the point. This language is itself a red herring. What you're talking about is a situation which lacks at the moment, so far as you're concerned, a historical dimension. We're in an age increasingly of commercialization. The word has been used, but infrequently. This is a commercial world in which everything, and we are encouraged to do this, is measured by money. And as long as it's measured by money, you will continue to have this problem, and it will grow worse. You are really wishing to discuss where does authority lie in a commercial world. And it has been referred to as, well, we are the authority. Every individual is his own authority. We are allowed to choose whatever we wish in terms of in terms of insurance, in terms of the petrol we buy, in terms of the gas and the electricity supplies. The choice in itself, again, is an ideology. And that is another confusing element in this. Where does authority lie in a commercial world? You are avoiding the question.
Who's going to come back? Wait a minute, no. Who's going?
2 words, with the market.
I wish I had an answer for you, but I think you've posed a question that will keep me thinking for quite a long time. It doesn't lie with the churches. It doesn't lie with the politicians because we elect them in. I think it comes back to us. Certainly doesn't lie with media. It must lie within ourselves, mustn't it? We must be our own authority. But I think thereby lies anything. Wasn't the world always commercial?
Mark wants to make
another 3 words. With the customer.
With the customer, now that's an example of Orwellian doublespeak for the market. Choice.